writing has always fascinated me in that I've heard other writers speak and they say it's like I'm simply just writing out what's happening. I'm watching it all play out in front of me and I'm writing what's happening. It's like I'm the narrator of this thing and that's happening in my head. I don't know. Do you find that or
really thought of it in that?
Yeah,
in
like
those
they know
terms.
the story.
They know the story before it's actually written, or
yeah, they half know the story, but the characters themselves just take off into other directions yeah.
That's
so
sort of what I'm talking about.
Right.
I guess,
yeah.
in terms
Okay.
of once the characters are in there and they're doing things, and you're sort of thinking, this is a really interesting person, or that's a really interesting event for that person to be doing, or thing for them to be doing. You're kind of wandering off saying, well, I'm going to pursue this. Perhaps that's my main character there,
Yeah.
rather than the one I originally thought of,
Okay.
who was wearing a bowler hat and walking down the street, in the rain. Maybe that person's not so interesting. Perhaps they're a secondary character in the whole thing.
Okay.
And perhaps the person that they meet in the coffee shop who's serving them is more interesting. So maybe we go and chop and change that around and say, well, okay, if that person is more interesting, what do we really know about them? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Are they married? Are they single? Are they divorced? Are they young? Are they old? All those questions.
I find I do that just looking at people in the street. I had an incident today where I watched somebody who obviously lived on the streets, and I just found myself watching them going, what is their story, you know? Rather than, another homeless person. It was like, what is their story?
It's very interesting. I found once I started to do more writing and take more notes, you see and you hear lots of really strange things. And you go around and you think, that's really interesting. I don't know whether I'll be able to use it in a story, but I'll take notice of it.
Which brings me to the question, like, as a person with a vision impairment, noticing little things like that would be important to you, or?
It's important, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had the sight condition. It's a congenital one.
Right. Yeah.
So I've had to get used to taking notice of what's going on around me.
Yeah.
Where I'm going, and that's so obviously by dint of just sheer, will or whatever. That's what I do.
Right.
You
Okay.
learn to observe where streets are, what features to look out for in terms of, okay, this is a new area. How will I find my way back? What are the prominent features of this building?
Right.
Or,
And does that experience play a part in your writing?
Yeah, to some extent it does.
Yeah? Okay. In what way?
Well, in terms of observation, a lot of writing that's any good is acutely observant. It deals in detail.
Yeah.
And it deals...
Of course, yes.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Because you can't just say, if you want to make the story function and move along, you're probably better off to say things that's a red chair rather than just that's a chair.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So to be specific, to use specificity in the way that you describe an event or a person's dress or a person's twitch if they have one. You have to look at someone like Dickens. Now he's an expert at describing personality traits.
Yeah.
He's stunning, and you just know not only from the names that he gives his characters, but also how they behave. It just comes alive in your mind.
Okay.
It looks like a film.
Yeah.
And I've heard it described that someone like him is a perfect example of somebody who never knew what film was and could possibly never know, because of course he was dead well before
Yes.
animation or any of that sort of stuff was even thought of. But his descriptions of people and events are so cinematic.
Right.
And the way he does it is just, it's
Wow.
stunning.